This is a true case. I already told you that. It, I will tell you why it was solved by a classroom. Too many years ago, and the number is not important, but I think it was 10 or 12 years ago, I did a meeting, and about 1 o'clock, no, it was 1:30, quarter to 2 in the afternoon, I started to get a headache. I'm not prone to headaches. I don't get them all the time. I get them once in a while like we all do, I guess. So I did what everybody else, I think, does when you get a headache. What's that? Yeah, I took 2 aspirins. I even borrowed them from somebody. You know, I don't even carry them with me. I borrowed 2 aspirins. I took them. Headache went away. Next day in the meeting, I got a headache again at 2 o'clock. This time I thought to myself, I hate people that mooch things. I waited for the next break, went down to the candy counter and bought up a tin of aspirin. Now I own my own aspirins. And I take those and the headache goes away. Next day I get a headache again. Now I have my own aspirin. Well, several days go by, not a problem. The following week I get a headache again. By the time this is going on for about 3 weeks, occasional headaches, I think to myself, someone talking to me, I better go see what the problem is. So I stop by my doctor, and he takes blood, and he asks me a bunch of dumb questions. He says, call back in a few days. He calls back in a few days. He says, I can't find anything. Just get some more sleep. I love that. So now we're into 5 weeks, and I'm still getting headaches. So I think, you know what? I better go rattle Sawbones' cage again. So that get some more sleep routine is not the answer. I'm still getting these bloody headaches, and they're not knock you down type, but they're distracting as hell, and I'm eating too many aspirins. So he recommends eye, ear, nose, throat. I go to a dentist, have all x-rays taken to see if anything's cooking under there. Nothing. We're now 4 or 5 months into the process, and I'm getting headaches regularly. And I even start to think dumb thoughts like, you know, maybe I'm dying. So I did a 16-week lecture series at Princeton University, and I'll tell you how crazy you can get. Under an assumed name, I went through a complete neurological workup, thinking I'll run home, buy $1 billion of insurance and make my kids rich, you know, because I'm dying of a tumor, I know that. And the bad news was I wasn't. So, you know, they said, well, by now my doctor says to me, you know what, you really ought to go see a therapist. Okay. Well, the therapist concluded that I was definitely crazy, but that wasn't causing the headaches. There's no connection. So I still got them. And now I'm 9 months into this thing, and I'm rattling around in this. And I'm starting to, not that I'd ever give thought to suicide, but I'm starting to think to myself, well, I understand how people who are in constant, unmitigatable pain might think about stepping off a ledge. This is distracting as hell. And won't stop. The quality of life is terrible. And I never know when they're going to hit, you know. So it's like I'm waiting now. I'm in Denver, Colorado on this particular week. I've had the people in the class 9 or 10 months earlier in a phase 1, doing phase 2. And we have a case for phase 2. It's the XYZ or XO company. I don't even use it anymore. The XYZ company. So I'm starting to give them this case, and one of the guys in class says to me, "You still having those headaches you had back in January?" Yeah. So why don't we use your headaches as a problem-solving exercise? And I didn't want them to do it because if they didn't solve the headache problem, I didn't want them to think the material wasn't good enough. It's crazy. Nah. Well, I've been with these people before, and they're nice people, and he said, How many wants to work on Paul's headache? Said, yeah, let's work on Paul's headache. So I got outvoted. So I sat there, and they did their trick. What's the object? That's right. Now, it's a self-correcting system. It's also correct to say Paul. But then later, when you would have said where on the object, you would have got the head. But head is a more correct answer. So the object's head, or Paul's head, or whatever. Defect. Yeah, pain. You know, it's a condition I'm no longer willing to live with. It's a deviation from norm. It's not nice to live this way. That's my problem. 6 or 7 minutes. But you have to hear it first. Okay. Because there's some good information in there that you'll be able to use next. Now, you just did item A. You got a problem statement. Now, Nancy, we can go back and follow your advice of the photomat. Now you can find cause because you know what you're looking for the cause of. You are looking for the cause of the pain on this guy's head. Now let me warn you before you get started. This is not a trick case. This is not tight underwear or any joke like that. This was serious. Okay, so I'm not wasting your time. This is serious. This is also a process problem. So if you can solve this problem, you've learned the kind of problem that you tend to live with all the time. Okay. Listen carefully to me. I am writing you each a license right now. And the license is, you are trying to solve this problem for me. I will withhold no information from you. I am serious about wanting a solution. I'm a customer. And you can ask me anything you want.
What time normally during the day you have an 8H?
1:45, 2 o'clock, 1:30, right in that period, Bob.
Does it only happen when you're working, or does it also happen at home on the weekend?
No, come to think of it, it only happens when I'm working. Read it.
Do you drink a lot of coffee?
No, well, that's a value judgment. 1 or 2 cups a day.
And they're in the morning?
I'm sorry?
They're in the morning, your coffee?
Yeah, pretty much like a morning beverage, yes.
Okay, do you always eat lunch at 12 to 1 o'clock?
I'm skipping lunch these days. I'm on a diet.
So it's,
Nancy?
Do you smoke? I know.
So everybody can hear you. What?
Do you smoke?
No, never. Jim?
Is this every day, or does the trend become more often?
No, it's not every day.
More often now than it used to be.
No, for the last 9 months, I've probably had the same number of headaches each week, but it's not every day.
Are there any other members in your family that have suffered from a similar case?
None.
What do you eat for breakfast?
Nothing. That's part of my diet. I've been skipping breakfast and lunch.
Did I get another one?
You get any exercise?
No more than normal. I walk a little bit. Now I'll open it up. Just wave your hand at me and I'll ask. Michelle?
Do you eat lunch or breakfast on the weekend?
No. I'm dead serious about this diet. I must lose weight, so I'm eating 1 meal a day.
How much weight have you lost?
So far, this is at the time when I still have the headaches in this class. 9 months, 55 pounds.
do you find your headaches are stronger or weaker? And, I mean, are they as consistently as painful?
Yeah, they're not knock you down tight, but the
Extent is
yeah.
one consistent pain.
How old are you?
It's a good question. Let me go back and think.
54 now.
It is 53. Probably 41 or 42, something like that.
Do you have it when you're teaching seminars or when you're doing office work? Have you seen a pattern of what type of work you have it during?
Not to mention it, only when I'm teaching seminars.
Do you use your, I don't know how you call it.
Hearing aids?
Yeah.
In-
All weeks?
You mean
Only
in...
when you give class?
Oh, no, I wear both of them in class, but anytime I want to hear, I got to hit one in at least.
Yeah, but normally you wear them every time in the class, but in the weekend do you still use it all the time?
At least one, because without them, I can't hear anybody. That's
least
10
one.
feet away, yeah. But in class, I use both of them for, obviously, both sides of the
So
room.
you're talking. So it seems like it's related to the hearing aids. It could be related to the hearing aids in some way. But you're talking when you get the headaches. When you talk with the hearing aids, does it sound, I don't know what it sounds like. Can you hear yourself talk?
Sure. Don't let anybody say to you, no, that couldn't be, because in order for the process to work right, you need as many items on the list as possible. Do not be general about your list. Do not say something like stress, but rather be very specific about the cause of the stress, the origin of it, whatever, if that's a cause. Otherwise, you won't be able to process. Be careful. There are some people who make a mistake in problem solving. It is that they think they have the cause, they stop listening, and therefore don't hear a lot of other stuff. a good example is I might have had an experience once that caused a problem like you have. You tell me your problem, I instantly extrapolate that must be like my experience. I miss critical pieces of information because I've stopped the process. Okay, so you are in the process. Now, question, do I get headaches on an office day? Would have been a good question to ask me. Answer, no. I only get headaches when I teach. So the next question you might ask yourself is, maybe the stress level is greater in an office day than it is in a teaching day. That's my general feeling. So you could have tightened that out. The point is, we're not going to let brain tumor in there because of the calendar. That doesn't mean we won't have to go back and review it. But our assignment now is to delete this list. All right, let's look at this eating habits. No breakfast, no lunch, low sugar, all this one right there. You were very clear about asking me whether I was on this diet on the weekends. Or do I follow this diet on the days I'm not in the classroom? So it will work in the world because I'm on a diet every place. It'll work on the object because we all know low blood sugar can cause headaches. It'll even work on clock because this dummy's not eating breakfast and lunch. It won't work on calendar. You see it?
Yeah.
So this won't work. Now, hearing aids by themselves won't work either. Where in the world? Every place I go because I wear hearing aids. Where in the object? On my head, I wear hearing aids there. Clock, calendar, it won't work because until you get to this distinction, 2 as opposed to 1. Now you can test that one. Where in the world? Every place I wear my hearing aids. Where on the object? In my head where I stick my hearing aids in. And you even ask a more specific question. Where is it? It's not up here. It's down deep here. Clock. How do you explain it? Real simple. How many of you have ever gone to a rock concert and sat too close to the speakers and got a headache? Be honest. Okay. Because of my classroom needs to hear you, I turn these suckers up. So this is my rock concert. So truth of the matter is, by the time I get to 1:30, 2 o'clock, because I'm wearing both of them cranked up in this classroom environment, calendar, only in the classroom, not at work when I pop one out so I can hear which direction a train's coming from and whatever. Trend's not getting any worse, extent's not getting any worse. That's the only one that'll pass. That doesn't mean it's it, but you can kill the rest of these, I promise you. Now, what do you do with that one? Well, this group came to this conclusion that it was me wearing 2 hearing aids for a sustained period of time in a classroom environment. So they asked me to do them a favor. Would I come in the next day in class and put the strong voices in the room on one side of the room? For example, I can hear Mark without hearing aids. He has an excellent voice. I can hear your voice. I have a hard time with you. I'm glad you sat close to me. You're in one of my dips from a, frequency range. So I put all of your kind of guys on the side with the hearing aid. I put the Mark Camerons and a few other on the other side. And I go the next day, 1:30, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. No headache. That's one test. Now they ask me to do another thing. Well, I go home for the weekend and wear 2 hearing aids straight through the weekend. Little problem. I get home, I wear 2 hearing aids, and I don't get a headache on Saturday with 2 hearing aids. I'm starting to, damn, I thought we had it. Went to church on Sunday, had a headache halfway through the Mass. The choir, the organ, 2 hearing aids, blasting my bloody head off. So now I know the cause. Now here's a problem. Some of you have harbored a pet cause in your mind. Some of you have come to the conclusion I'm a dummy because I'm on this diet. I'm going to give you that. You are 100% right. This is an ill-advised, stupid diet. But that's not the cause of my headaches. That might cause some other problem. I might die of malnutrition, but that's not causing my headache. We have identified that the cause of the headache is 2 hearing aids for a sustained period of time. Now, we go to solution. It's not uncommon for a team to come back and say, get off your diet. Well, if that wasn't the cause, I mean, I appreciate the advice, but that's not going to solve the headaches. So the solution has to be against the cause. Now, I'm going to give you your first solution. I can quit teaching. That will have some adverse consequences. It might be like the only thing I do in my job that I really like. I might be sad for the rest of my life if I had to do that. It might affect my income. I might also have to do it. Here's another solution. Live with the headaches. I'm going to start taking a Tylenol type product that won't eat my stomach lining. I wouldn't be the first one to be on some kind of medication for the rest of my life. What I now want you to do is go back to the drawing board for just a real quick 5 minutes and have confidence that because of this, the cause is 2 hearing aids for a sustained period of time in a classroom environment. That's the cause of the headache. And come up with a solution. See if you can match the one I have or give me a better idea. Because the real issue is amplification. So if you do it for here's what really goes on. It's not a common problem for this reason. It's relatively rare that anyone with a hearing problem is young, rare. Most old people, and they just put 1 in. So the problem never occurs. They also don't have a high hear need like I do. So here's the problem. You got a brain in here, 2 ears. And please don't ask me to explain this, but the audiologists have told me that sound is matter. Anybody understand that? So what's really happening is I'm bombarding the brain, literally, with some kind of waves. There's a physical irritation that's going on. And after so many hours, that irritation will manifest itself in terms of pain, just like this does not hurt. But if we did this long enough, I would bleed from it. Learn to lip read is an excellent suggestion. It was one of the things I had to learn how to do. Turning the 2 hearing aids down, I could never make that transition because I always needed a threshold that was loud enough so that still happened. Anybody wear contacts in the room? Okay. Do you put them in as part of getting dressed in the morning?
I leave them in all the time.
You leave them in all the time. Some people put them in as part of getting dressed. Okay.
Once a week.
Okay. So hearing aids are kind of like contact lenses or glasses. So you get up in the morning and you shower, shave, get dressed, the watch, glasses, hearing aids in, and now it's maybe 7 a.m. It's 1:30 when you start to get the headache. It's 4:30 when class stops. If you can get beyond that and take one out, you're okay. So, first thing I did was not put that second hearing aid in until 8:30. That gave me an hour and a half. That moved 1:30 to 3 o'clock. You see that? Next thing I did was an hour and a half at lunch. I turn one off. I don't take it out. That gives me 4:30. And the next thing is every time you're on a project like you were just on, I don't need the kind of hearing capabilities I need now that you're sitting here. So I can get to 5 or 6 o'clock if I do good on-off management. That connect together with learning to lip read, tightening the group up, I don't get headaches anymore, unless I forget. And then I owe it to myself anyway. I walk around saying, you deserve this, you dummy, you should have shut these off. But I can solve the problem. What I want you to see is that you in effect process the problem. You started off by not being taken in by my great big long story. Problem statement was written. Head, pain. You brainstormed all the possible causes. You distilled them, got rid of all the things like diet and stress, because you know what? I had just as much stress on the weekends when I was home with the kids as I had during the week. I had just as much stress, if not more, in the office than when I was teaching. So clock, calendar, you can give yourself some pretty good clues. In this particular case, like many process problems, there's only really one cause. Why do you need to do that? I used to run a corrugated paper box factory. They have a thing in there called a corrugator, several hundred feet long, and you start with 3 sheets of paper, you glue them together, make the flutes, and you wind up with stuff you make boxes on the other end. I was on the far end where the paper comes out, and we would get a thing called blisters. Now, blisters are a spot where the lamination's not complete, and that will affect the integrity of the strength of the box. So I used to beep a horn and Pinky, my operator, 200 feet away and give him the blister sign. It's a long walk. So he's working on the blister problem. So I walk down there because the blisters go away. I say, they're gone. What'd you do? He said, well, I put some more steam on the paper to get it ready to take more glue. I put more glue on the paper. I slowed the machine down so the machine would take more glue. I put pressure on the pressure roller to smash the paper together quicker, and I turned the heat up in the beds to cook the glue faster. Now, we have a rag at the other end, but there are no blisters in it anymore. This is a terrible piece of paper we've just made. So I say, Pinky, which one of those things is the problem? He said, beats the shit out of me. Every time I do all 6 of those things, the problem goes away. Well, you know, this was a highly ineffective problem. It cost us power, glue, time, production loss. It took me a long time, one at a time, to figure out what was causing those blisters. But it was only when you found the right cause that you really could solve the problem properly.